Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Thursday. James Benge is with me, so it can only mean one thing. It is Inside Arsenal. Extra time. James, how you going, mate? How the last couple of days been since we last saw each other on Tuesday night?
Oh, well, I mean, it's hardly been a moment, has it? Yeah, not a lot's really happened. How's your last few days been?
Yeah, same, mate. Can't not really too much to update since
Point to
last
the
time we
tip.
spoke after over our coconut chicken curry dinner at the Arsenal press room before the Shakthar game. Yeah, not much to report, mate. It's been a bit miserable online the last couple of days in terms of Arsenal point of view, isn't it? On the back of the Bournemouth game and then the pretty underwhelming performance against Shakhtar. There's been lots of doom and gloom online and in the comments section and on the timeline and things like that. So I'm relying on you to cheer us all up over the next half an hour or so. Should we start with how Crystal Palace are doing? How's Crystal Palace watch going? Should we see?
It's not going great, Charles. It's not going great.
No?
No, gentleman's 3 points.
Someone on table in front of us there, mate. 3 points, -6 goal difference, no wins.
That means there's still 90 points to play for.
Are they lulling me into a false sense of security?
Top four is still on. Only 14-point gap to bridge to Aston Villa. I mean, I think someone online said offered to bet me that Palace wouldn't finish above Fulham, and I got tempted, but I watched their game against Forest on Monday, and that looked like a talented team, completely devoid of ideas, and like their coach's game plan isn't working for them. It's so strange when so much went right last season, and I know losing Elise and Eze was a blow, but I thought they'd recruited well. I got that one completely wrong.
Eze's back in the team now, isn't he? He's not injured. He's playing.
Something like 35 shots he's had without a goal.
Really?
My theory, which I didn't think was totally mad, but what I really got wrong was the idea that sort of they'd had half a season of Elise and half a season of Eze, and if they could get a full season of Eze, it would be like having both of them. But I think he's putting too much on his shoulders right now. Kamada has not helped much in that regard either, or guys like Ismail Assar. But we're not Crystal Palace extra time. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It upsets me.
Does it? Absolutely. You know what they need to do is reinstate Rob Holding into the squad. That's what they got to do. Bring Rob Holding back, and he will solve all of their issues. And you might get that £50 bet. You never know. You can come on, go 3 at the back, stick Rob Holding on. Job done. Gladson needs to swallow his pride and accept he's taken the wrong decision by banishing him to the kids.
He screams the sort of player that would
Can you imagine what? He's such a nice guy, Rob Holding. How has he been banished to the under-21s? I wonder what he's done to do that.
I mean, that exactly. Doesn't that tell you everything that's going wrong at Crystal Palace? I mean, really, I should have seen that and known the writing was on the wall. You know, if you lose Rob Holding, you've lost. You know, that's a you problem, not a Rob Holding problem.
I know. Well, we shall see how Crystal Palace Watch will return at this point next week to see how they go and see if they've got first win of the season. But like you said, we will talk about Arsenal now. And we were together a couple of days ago at the Shakhtar game in the press box. We were speaking before the game, obviously, on the back of the Bournemouth defeat. What did you make of the Shakhtar game? Because I didn't see you afterwards. What did you make of that 90 minutes?
Yeah, it was pretty poor.
I didn't think the first half was too bad.
No, and like the first 20 minutes was really good. And
that was good, yeah.
Like
that was good, I thought.
Shakhtar could get blitzed here. And I do think that that's all happening with Arsenal a lot this season. These really bright starts that kind of end up with nothing or very little, and then Arsenal just sort of fritter them away. I think one thing that intrigues me or worries me about this team is they'll get a goal and they'll be like, yeah, that's fine, we can defend that. And I think, you know, even games like the Leicester game, I think they're so good at defending that they sort of convince themselves they can sort of hold a 1-0 lead when it's like, well, you can probably quite often. And, you know, for as disappointing as it was, Shakhtar didn't really create any good chances of note. They just had one good shot from outside the box. But sometimes you just have one good shot from outside the box and it goes in and everything goes wrong. And I think Arsenal sometimes just sort of it's not cockiness or anything like that. I just think they maybe are too comfortable defending in a +1 situation. They defend like they're 3 goals up when they're 1 goal up.
And Mikel said afterwards in the presser, didn't he, that it was very much a game of two halves. He was quite happy with what he saw in the first half, but the second half he said they looked tired, and maybe tiredness did come into it. But it was a strange second half, wasn't it? I thought everything about it, from the atmosphere to it was just so flat that night for a Champions League game. And I know we're all still getting used to this sort of method of how this tournament works, or how this group stage, if you can you even call it a group stage now? I don't know.
League phase.
League phase, is that what it is?
Which means it's the Champions League phase, which is horrible when you write it in copy. Ugh.
Yeah. I don't know if that plays into it, and that it is just that sort of lack of concern about if you drop points at this early stage comes into it. But it was just a really strange second half. It was very flat. Arsenal didn't really look like they had any idea how to add to not Gabriel Martinelli's goal, but the own goal in the first half. Yeah, I never really had any confidence at Arsenal. I think Leandro Trossard's penalty literally summed up that second half so well. It was just kind of lethargic, lazy almost, and it just mirrored the overall performance and night, really, in terms of the second half.
And I mean, there are several individuals you could pick out, but there's something with Trossard. I mean, I almost, you go back to that City thing, and we all think that was quite harsh. There's a degree of debate as to whether he heard the whistle, all those things. I think Trossard of late, though, has just been slightly slapdash. There was conceding possession in his own penalty area. There was obviously the moment that effectively put Saliba in a potential red card situation. I don't think he's alone in that regard. It was really frustrating to see someone like Raheem Sterling come on and bring the opposite of impetus and energy from the bench. I don't know if that is all just more tired minds and tired legs. It's been a long slog for Arsenal, a lot of work without the ball and a lot of emotive games. But whatever it is, it's going to have to get fixed by this weekend. Martinelli, really the one that was giving you a lot of hope and a lot of excitement about what could happen against Liverpool. And everywhere else on the pitch, you're like, oh, God, can we postpone this game by 3 weeks, maybe? Not looking good. I mean, by Arsenal's very high standards, it's not looking good.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who works for the media team up at Liverpool. He's coming down, obviously, for the game, and we were talking about the game. I was like, yeah, could really do with this being in a few weeks' time rather than this weekend. It's going to be really difficult. And we'll talk about Liverpool, of course, in the game. You're right. I thought Gabriel Martinelli was the standout player. Him and Thomas Partey. Martinelli was obviously standout attacker for Arsenal. I thought Partey in that first half was very, very good and was the dominant player by a distance on the pitch. But it is just, as I said, there's been a lot of doom and gloom in terms of certainly online reaction this week to the Bournemouth result and the Shakthar performance, and almost the performances as a sort of whole for the season so far. And when you kind of look at Arsenal now, how do you assess the start of the season? Because take the Bournemouth result out of it, and you can't obviously do that because it's a key part of it, but that's obviously the only defeat they've suffered so far this season. They've taken 7 points from a possible 9 in the Champions League. And they're with it. If they beat Liverpool at the weekend, then they're 1 point adrift of Liverpool. So they've been functional, haven't they? I think that's how you could describe the start to this season. They've not blown anyone away. It's not been thrilling stuff. They've had to deal with a lot injuries wise, and they've been very, very functional when it comes to results.
Yeah, I find it really hard to know because some people have seen some of the data going around this week that sort of says, look, 11 versus 11, Arsenal are still probably the best team in the league. And I think if Arsenal had their full strength team, I'd be taking that probably out of it. But, I don't remember if it was you I was speaking to about this on Tuesday night, and nothing's changed since. For me, it's feeling a little 15-16-ish, where things have gone wrong for City, and I really don't think City are the force they were. We can maybe talk a bit more about Liverpool when we preview the game. I think there's a little bit of air in those results, especially in attacking terms. I think the attack has taken a step back for a bit more control. So I feel like it's there for Arsenal, and sometimes the moment is there for you is the moment that your luck breaks, and Arsenal have been really unlucky with where the red cards have come, when, and some pernickety, I would say, application of the rules, the injuries, the fact that we all thought Bukayo Saka would be back for Bournemouth, really, didn't we? Thanks Lee Carsley. And now there's hope, but not certainty that he'll be available against Liverpool. Even the sort of lucky breaks don't feel like that. Like, I'm only going now off what I've read in Italy, but it sounds like Riccardo Calafiori, we all knew what we feared when you saw those replays. It sounds like that's not as bad as it might have been, but it also comes at a moment when there is like no other left back and no Tomiyasu for the one game of the season. You'd be like, God, we'd love to have Tomiyasu. So it feels like Arsenal just, the luck's not quite there. And any champion, and that's what Arsenal are going to aspire to be, it's hard to get it if luck's just not on your side.
Yeah, that's true, but you do have to deal with things. And like you said, Calafiori.
Yeah.
So the latest we've got on Calafiori, and I haven't had this substantiated yet, and I was talking to someone about it, and I couldn't get confirmation on it earlier on today. But certainly from not just one report, but multiple reports in Italy, it seems like they've a lot of the Italian reporters have spoken to, I would presume, Calafiori's agents and representatives. And the word over there is that he suffered some minor damage to his medial collateral ligament, so his MCL, but it's only expected to keep him out for a matter of weeks rather than months. So that's the update we have at the moment on Calafiori. And that if that is correct, and again, I haven't had it confirmed myself yet, and Mikel's speaking tomorrow at his presser, we'll see if what he has to say about it. That will be a boost, because when I saw, and it happened right in front of where I was sitting, in real time, I was like, oh my God, that looked awful. And then when I saw the replay, I literally thought he's done his ACL. We might not see him for a year.
And his ankle, it looked like.
Yeah, and his ankle went as well. Yeah, it looked so nasty. I was staggered that he came back on the pitch, like genuinely staggered that was allowed to happen, because when you just had to have one look at that replay and think he has to go off. And I know the physio doesn't get a look at the replay. He just runs straight on and treats the player, and the player says, I'll give it a go. But from one look at that replay, there's no way he should be playing on that. He should have been trying to run on that. And yeah, the second he tried to run on, you saw him do that to Mikel. But if it is weeks, I think that's a big boost, because I was convinced from my very untrained medical eye that was going to be
season.
That was a potential Jurriën Timber all over again.
100%. I don't know who made. Obviously, once that happens, you start watching Calafiori. It looked to me like he made the call himself, and you could almost tell because he was moving okay. And again, you've always got to be careful. Like Timber walked off the pitch when he did his knee.
Yeah.
But I think someone like Calafiori in particular, who's been through such pain in his knee, I think will understand the feelings and the sensations. And also because, this is what they kind of work on when they're building back up. It's sort of pushing yourself, but not going over the edge. And it sort of seemed to me that Calafiori quite proactively just said, no, I need to get out of here now just to be on the safe side.
He did it straight away. As soon as the referee blew the whistle to start the match, he'd like jogged a few steps and then looked straight at the touchline and said to Arteta, no. And then the play carried on. He did try and run towards the penalty area.
It's Riccardo Calafiori. He's going to run.
Yeah, all the coaching staff and Arteta were like pointing and get down on the pitch. But he did try to run for a bit before he eventually did go down. But yeah, I'm always a bit, when I see a player walk off, I always think to myself, that's surely a good sign. But then, like you rightly pointed out, I mean, Jurriën Timber walked off as well. And you've seen that countless times with ACL injuries as well. Players have, it's not always like that immediate pain where they just have to get stretched off. Sometimes they do walk off, but the injury's still really bad. But the very latest on him, certainly coming out of Italy, and it's not just one source either in Italy. It seems to be multiple have been given the nod that,
and it's Corriere as well, isn't it?
It's Corriere dello Sport with the first, and then it seems to be So you would hope that that's coming direct from Calafiori's representatives. So fingers crossed that's right. Obviously, he's not going to be playing against Liverpool, so they're going to have to work out what they're going to do on the left hand side. But that is a boost, because I just literally sat there shaking my head when I saw it. like what are the chances? I mean, how so many key players. I mean, Arsenal got about 8 million fullbacks, and pretty much all of them are out at the moment, which is remarkable.
I mean, I literally sort of said they laughed at Mikel Arteta when he accrued every hybrid fullback in Europe, and they're not laughing now. Good God, I can't. I still. I mean, I presume we're going to get on to talk about how we expect Arsenal to line up against Liverpool, but it feels like we're very much in pray for Jurriën Timber mode, doesn't it? I don't quite think this, but I think if you said to me, Arsenal need Jurriën Timber back more than they need Bukayo Saka back, I would say I understand where you're coming from when you say that. I wouldn't agree with you, but wouldn't be miles off. Have you done your sort of what the back four would be if Timber's out? Because I've done
Not
mine and I
yet.
didn't like the look
Not
of it.
yet. I think I'm going to look at that tomorrow. What did you make of the fact that when Calafiori went off, Miles Lewis-Skelly came on and Zinchenko and Kivior didn't?
I got the impression that must mean that Zinchenko is quite away from full fitness.
Yeah.
I think there's almost two distinct things here. I think Kivior was potentially about not gambling on Sunday, and I think Kivior will start. I don't think Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to play left back.
I would be very surprised if Lewis-Skelly lines up against Mo Salah.
I would be intrigued. I would admire Mikel Arteta's bravado, and I would also be wondering if he set Lewis-Skelly up for a horrible full Premier League debut. Yeah, I mean, just especially given the context of the game, playing against his former team, and obviously everything that's happened in Ukraine, I kind of almost had priced in Zinchenko being in the 11 if he was fit, let alone of course he would come off the bench. And I know it was a game where they needed a bit more defensive nous, but it's not really like a refigured 8 is necessarily the defensive left back you bring on. So to me, it suggested Zinchenko looks a bit short. I wouldn't be entirely averse to, if he was fully fit, just taking the view that what Zinchenko brings you in possession is enough that it's worth the risk you are taking with what Mo Salah could do to him when Liverpool have the ball. But that would probably have to be fully fit, match sharp Zinchenko. I think kind of without him, it feels to me like it will have to be Jakub Kivior somewhere in the team. And I think probably left back, because that didn't look good at right centre back, did it? Did not look good at all.
No, it didn't look great. I'm just trying to see who played left back in the 3-1 in the league last season. Just trying to get the team.
Is that
because Zinchenko played at Anfield because he got done for Salah's goal,
in
didn't
the
he?
1-1, and the 3-1 is only a few. I think that's Kivior.
Is it Kivior? I can't honestly. No, the BBC
Well,
report.
wait a minute though, because it's quite soon. Yeah, it's like a month after Fulham, so they've sort of ridden the low point with Jakub Kivior, and he's just started turning it around, I think. Yeah. I'll try and help you Google. This is live Googling for us.
None of the match reports have got teams, the 11s on the bottom, annoyingly. Right, here we go. I'm on good old Soccer Base, which will do it. So Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1. We have got Zinchenko. He came off at half time. Came off after 45 minutes, and Kivior came on. Oh, I remember actually. Kivior had a really good second half. Yeah, I do remember that.
He did.
Now, yeah, I do remember.
Was Zinchenko wasn't really at fault for the?
No, I think it was an injury. Zinchenko went off. I think it was an injury.
I wouldn't. I think a lot of times, especially when there's injuries in defence, you only ever think about what it'll look like when Salah or Nunez is flying at you. Best form of defence is having the ball. But I still think in the end, Jakub Kivior, keep it simple, especially if Jurriën Timber's available. And then in my head, I had Timber at centre back next to Gabriel, Kivior at left back, White at right back. I know you'll probably want to do your own separate video on this, so I won't ask you to do yours, but I think that might be good enough, especially if it's sort of robustly shielded by Partey and Rice. But oh god,
Calafiori being injured is so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Tomiyasu being injured as well.
Sorry, yeah, Tomiyasu, absolutely. Absolutely, that's really frustrating. I agree. If Timber's fit, do you play Timber at centre back or do you play White at centre back and play Jurriën Timber as the right back? Timber played quite a bit at centre back in pre-season, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah,
he did, and he was quite good.
He was quite good. Yeah,
and he's not short. Everyone just thinks he's short because he's next to Gabriel and Saliba.
It'll be interesting Liverpool players as central striker because Jossa's a doubt, which would be a boost if he misses out because obviously Jossa has to score every single time he plays against Arsenal. But if he's out, you'd expect Núñez to start, which is obviously a much more physical sort of battle for the defenders than it would have been if it was Jota. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see who plays for them. But I don't think there's really any other option. Like you said, I think it will have to be Kivior at left back. And then, the other three, if Timber's fit, the other three, and then one of them at right back, either Timber or White. But if Timber's not fit, I mean,
there's only one option. You have to play Partey right back and White in the centre back.
That is.
I think Partey was, even against Shakthar, I thought quite good, and he's definitely doesn't seem to be playing the sort of slightly mad over inverting right back that he did at the start of last season.
No, the only issue with that is Thomas Partey at the moment is by far and away Arsenal's best central midfielder. And then if you're taking him out, you're talking about control earlier. If you take him out of that midfield, you've got an out of form Declan Rice. You've got Mikel Merino, who is looking like he's struggling to get up to speed at the moment, which is quite understandable given what's gone on with him since the end of last season. And taking Partey out, it feels like a bit of a worry there in terms of the midfield battle as well as the defence.
Are you thinking Declan Rice at centre back?
No, I'm not thinking Declan Rice.
It's been a while, and I think when he played there for West Ham, it was in a 3.
I think he could have easily done that against Bournemouth after the sending off last week, but no, not starting up against Liverpool. It's I mean, Timber, and the latest I have on Timber is that he's not ruled out yet, and Arsenal are hopeful that both he and Saka, but it's going to be a very late decision on the pair of them, and you'd think they've not played for a while. Throwing them straight back in. The only thing I'm thinking is, have they been kind of wrapping them in cotton wool with eyes on this game and just thought, you know what, you've been a doubt. We could risk you against Shakthar or Bournemouth, but we absolutely want you against Liverpool. So we're just going to take you out of the equation and just all eyes are on that Liverpool game. That's all I'm hoping for. And
I saw Timber on Tuesday night and then spoke to someone who had spoken to him. Seemed quite confident. Like they seemed, they were like, I was surprised that Timber didn't play this game. I always think I saw them. You've got to be careful what you see in the mix zone, don't you? Because you can generally see if someone's injured. Like you can see if someone's done big damage, but you can't necessarily tell when an athlete like you're in Timber is at 100% fitness. But in his street clothes, I didn't see any boots, any bandaging, anything like that.
Well, it's a muscle, isn't it, with Timber?
Yeah.
We don't know what muscle it is, but it's a muscle injury. Well, according to Mikel, as much as you can believe.
Well, we'll know even less on Friday, won't we?
Yeah.
If we're recording this in 24 hours' time, we'll be like, no idea.
I would be very, very surprised if he's open at all when it comes to those injuries. But yeah, all we can say is that as far as Saka and Timber are concerned, just been told that Arsenal are hopeful they could be involved. So we'll wait and see on that. But I think, like you say, Timber is arguably more important than Saka in terms of availability for this game, I think. I mean, there's been lots of talk as well about Saka and, how reliant Arsenal are on Saka and Odegaard, which I can understand to a certain degree. But then I also think any team in the world, if you take out their best 2 attacking players, are going to struggle. And, Arsenal have coped very well with these injuries so far. Again, and it's hard to say take Bournemouth out of it because you can't, because that is very much now part of the season. But prior to Bournemouth, Arsenal hadn't lost a game. They'd done very, very well without Martin Odegaard and other players as well. They'd found a way to win. And so it's not like the wheels completely came off when it came to these injuries. They'd up to Bournemouth, they had been finding a way to grind out results and get the wins. But you're obviously going to lack quality or as much quality in attack if you take those 2 players out your side, because they're just, arguably the best 2 players or certainly in the conversation of being the best 2 players in their position in world football.
Yeah.
You know, they're up in that conversation. So you take them out at the same time. I don't think it's a case of being just too over reliant on 2 players. I just think it's a case of anyone in the world would miss that quality. It's like if you're Real Madrid, and I know it's slightly different because you've got such an embarrassment of riches, but still, you take Vinny Jr. and Bellingham out of their team at the moment. Well, maybe not Bellingham because he's not had a great start to the season, but certainly take Vinny Jr. and Mbappe or someone like that out of the team at the moment, and they're still going to be able to win some games, just like Arsenal have been able to win some games, but they're not going to be out there as good as they have been. And it's the same for any team, and Arsenal, it's just the same as that.
Yeah, and guys are stepping up. Kai Havertz created as many chances in the Champions League this week as any player. I think Kai Havertz is still playing fantastically. I thought Gabriel Jesus is just at the moment just needs a goal, and he's actually doing a lot right. And, like we sort of were talking about at the top of the show, Martinelli doing everything you could ask of him. It's just the level of adaptation, the level of drop is profound. And these are players that are cornerstones of your identity. It's how you build your attacks. And Arsenal have had to, they've changed everything, their formation. I suspect their build up, the pace at which they play, how many of their passes are now just kind of hoofed long balls up towards Kai Havertz. Everything has changed because Odegaard and Saka are out. And I think, without one, you can cope. Without 2, your attack's going to take a step back. And we all view that Bournemouth game rightly so through the hour that followed Saliba's red card. But Arsenal were the better team before. They were creating some chances. It would have, if it had gone their way, it probably would have been a scrappy 1-0 or 2-0. But, they were playing a really good team without their 2 tempo-setting attackers. Of course it would have been, if they won, it would have been a scrappy game where they win by the odd goal or 2. So...
And in saying that, it's key to point out Arsenal didn't lose in the Champions League in midweek. They won. They found a way to win. And if they hadn't been so slack in terms of finishing as well, that was a game they should have still won by 2, 3, 4 goals. But the finishing was poor on the night as well.
Yeah, they created them, a lot of good chances, and a lot of good chances or a lot of good moments that didn't end in shots. So I think as well, like, a team like Liverpool, maybe someone like Odegaard is not a huge miss. I think Saka is for the cutting edge, but I think you're going to be sort of looking for it's always going to be a Martinelli game, and I think it's really good news that he's coming in fit and firing. I swear he must have looked at his calendar this week and sort of he got Trent circled in a big heart as an excitement for taking on this guy, because he always delivers in this game, and there's a lot of pressure on him, but he's stepping up. Havertz is stepping up. Maybe someone like Trossard has had a little bit of a step back, but it's only 2-3 weeks ago that we were talking about how brilliant his and partnership with Havertz was, and salivating over that assist. People have no patience.
The good thing about Trossard, I think we're about 3/4 away through his cycle where it goes from brilliant to rubbish to be out of the team to brilliant again. So hopefully we've sort of gone through and we're at the 3/4 stage where he's about to get back to brilliant again, and that will come against Liverpool. And with Leo as well that he can deliver in the very, very big moments. And like you said, Gabby loves playing against Liverpool and has got a very, very good record against them. So it's going to be really, really important.
Quickly, who starts on the right wing if Saka's out?
I think Jesus. I thought Jesus played pretty well. And again, I think a lot of people have made their minds up about Jesus now. And, I got so much, not abuse, it's the wrong word, but so many people disagreeing with me about Jesus' performance on Tuesday night, because I said he played perfectly fine. And had he scored that goal at the end of the first half, that would have capped what I thought was a pretty decent performance from him on the right-hand side. But a lot of people immediately disagree. So, no, rubbish, terrible. And I just don't see that. I thought he did fine. He tired like the rest of the team in the second half, was nowhere near as impactful, I don't think. But I thought he had a pretty good game. So I don't see there's another option. I think you play Jesus on the right. You definitely don't play Raheem Sterling after that substitute appearance on Tuesday night. So Jesus on the right, Martinelli on the left, Havertz up top, and then you work out what you're going to do in midfield in terms of potentially if Partey's going to be in there or not, or if he's going to have to play right back. I don't know. But I think in terms of the forward line, if there's no Saka, I think it has to be Jesus, Havertz, and Martinelli.
Yeah, completely agree.
Although
Completely
it might
agree
well
with
be
you
a
on Jesus.
4-4-2, mightn't it? It might be again. It'll be
Yeah,
Trossard and
I
Havertz as
think
a
it will be
4-4-2.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it'll be the 4-4-2. I mean, ooh, you could make a case to me as well for Jesus starting in place of Trossard, because he works his. The reason he tires after 60 minutes is he works himself to the ground. Something the player that replaced him could do with taking on board. I just feels like at the moment the thing with Jesus is he's just unlucky, because if he'd been on the pitch another 10 minutes, he'd have taken that penalty. I don't doubt it. And he'd have probably scored, and we'd be talking about, does Jesus, does he get to keep his place or whatever, making all those good chances and getting a goal? I think he's getting there. He's heading in the right direction, and hopefully, at the very least, next week against Preston, he can get the monkey off his back.
yeah. But I think so. I thought there were positive sides for him. Surprised Havertz didn't take that penalty. I don't know what the conversation between Leo and him was that resulted in Leo claiming that, but I was really, really surprised that Havertz didn't take that, given how good a penalty taker he is and his record, and the fact he was on for scoring.
Was Jorginho on by then?
No, Jorginho came on in the last couple of minutes, didn't he? So no, he wasn't on the pitch. But yeah, just really surprised Havertz didn't have that, especially given, and if he'd have scored that, it would have been eight home games in a row, equaling Henry's record from 25 years ago or 24 years ago. It's just, I'm not sure how the conversation went for it to be decided that it was going to be Trossard, but I thought that was a strange one.
Yeah, Arsenal do some weird stuff with penalties. That much is true.
They do. So what are you expecting from Sunday then? It's again, it's been a little bit doom and gloomy. I'd say this last half an hour or so, but do you look at this game on Sunday, even if, say, Saka and Timber are out, and think Arsenal can find a way to beat this Liverpool side? I mean, Liverpool last night obviously beat Leipzig. I think that's 6 away wins in a row in all comps to start the season. The first time ever they've done that. They'll be trying to make that 7 at the weekend. So they're flying. They're in very, very confident mood. And pretty much full strength aside from a couple of injury issues. So do you see Arsenal, can they beat them at the weekend even with these injury issues?
Absolutely. I don't doubt that for a moment. I think even after these 2 games, when we sort of look at Liverpool and the intimidation factor that comes from them, I think they're playing fantastically. They defend so well, really good. I was looking at this before the Chelsea game. They're so good at stopping teams getting to the byline. But, that has come at a bit of a cost offensively. And it's worth saying that they were, small margins away from conceding against Leipzig. There are mistakes there. They don't have, they don't have Alisson. When we compare lots, not having Alisson is a really big blow that's up there with not having Timber, not having Saka.
Kelleher's good though. I like Kelleher.
Kelleher's very good, but he nearly gave Sesko a goal.
He did, but that was when he came running out. So he made some good saves there. Both keepers made some really good saves in that game last night.
Yeah, I think of course, it becomes hard, and I would not be critiquing Arteta if without Timber, Ødegaard, Saka, everyone else we could name, he ends up getting a draw. But I don't think there's much. There's plenty to fear, but I don't think there's any reason for like fans to think that this game is beyond even a limited Arsenal. They're a really good team. No. It might be more defensive and attritional without them, but I don't think a draw. I also have to say I just dread if Arsenal were to lose. You'd hear so many pundits with are they out of the title race already stuff, and I don't think that will be true.
Well, there'd be 7 points behind Liverpool, and then the next 2 games are Newcastle away, Chelsea away. So I mean, it is a big game.
Supposed to get easier.
Even at this stage of the season, it is a very, very big game for Arsenal, isn't it? Because I mean, that is a big gap, and I agree. I think it's too early to say if someone's in or out of a title race, but that would be a big gap, especially when your next 2 away games. The probability of getting 6 points from those 2 games is, from those contrasting games last season, Arsenal picked up 1 point. They lost at Newcastle when they drew at Stamford Bridge. So it's a very, very important game for Arsenal this weekend, no doubt about it.
Fixture list has been absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it's not been an easy start to the season. Bournemouth game so costly, isn't it? I mean, just think that was just 3 points they could not afford to give away there. So you're gonna have to bounce. The good thing about Arsenal, certainly under Arteta in recent years, they have responded well to disappointments. And
I
look at this
loved
game.
his quote in the presser.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah,
he was be flying.
Will be flying. Yeah, he was very, very positive about that. I kind of look at the game. Remember the City game last season, the 1-0 at the Emirates, Martinelli's deflected goal, and I kind of look at this weekend as being a pretty similar game to that, given the injury issues Arsenal have had, how they might play the game, how they might try and shut it down potentially. I think it might end up being quite an attritional affair, and it might just be a one goal game. Hopefully, it goes the way of Arsenal. You going at the weekend? You there?
I am, and for once, I'm going to Colney tomorrow.
Are you? I'm not going to Colney tomorrow because it is. Well, I was going to say it's half term. It's not actually half term, but it's inset day for my kids tomorrow. Half term's next week, and
extra day of half term.
Teachers have decided to have one of their training days, they call it. So, no offense to any teachers out there watching this.
No offense to teachers.
So I have my kids tomorrow to look after, so I can't take them with me to London Colney, unfortunately. So I'm not going to be there. I will be there on Sunday, not in a press box. So I'll be sitting with my dad over in my seat for that one, hopefully witnessing a very good Arsenal win. I think that's a good time to end it, mate. Talking about teachers and half term, I've got to shoot off to my kids' parents' evening now as well. We're in about an hour's time. So I need to get this all uploaded before then. So thanks for joining me, and thanks for watching and listening, everyone. As always, I'll be back in the morning to do it all over again. Anything you want me to discuss in that show, any opinions, comments that you want me to discuss, do the usual thing, get down into comments, leave it, and I'll pull them together and get some of them included in the show. Until then, have a good week, mate. Enjoy Colney tomorrow, enjoy the game on Sunday, and I'll catch up again next week. See you later.
See you soon. Bye-bye.